Good afternoon, dear participants of the conference. I will continue social labor topic, and I will try to look at digitalization through the eyes of employees and employees. I will try to look. We have heard a lot today about the future in front of us, but I will try to talk about the starting point to this bright new future, going down and look at the real picture that we have today in the companies. As a basis, I will take a well-known three-level model of digitalization and digital gap. The success of digitalization depends on access to technology. Previously, it was the only factor, but then we began to understand that it's not that. Access is good, but if we have people and required competences, and whether we have capabilities to use these um, civilization advantages. To start with, I wanted to look because we are talking about the industry, the statistics, which is available from the open data. First of all, is the monitoring of digital society development in Russia, data from Росстат. It's presented by regions. And you can see how many organizations are using this or that software for industry by various economic activities. We don't have any statistics, but we may look at the correlation of the share of employed in the region. We see that the correlation in mining there's no significant correlation. In manufacturing industry, it's management of production, ERP systems, and the system of supply chains, and so on. Talking about competences and human capital. Here in this slide, you can see survey of the employees, and you can see how many ICT specialists are employed in economics in general and in industry. The data is more or less compatible. You can see that in mining it's less than average, in manufacturing a little bit more. Talking about the level of competence, it is not enough to know that we do have these specialists, not only ICT specialists. Therefore, the question is rather complicated. Without any labor-consuming surveys, the variable would be the study of the Russian monitoring, where one of the questions was whether you ever use the internet over the past 12 months and what for. And you can see that industrial work, there is no split between mining and manufacturing, but we may see that the industry employees are using the internet less often for work or the internet, but overall they are users as well. They use social networks and so on. Another point which I wanted to draw your attention to the age of the employees in ICT. And the colleague from Turkey mentioned how important it is because different age groups have different competences. We see certain slowing down, or to be more exact, older people in ICT, in mining, and in manufacturing industries are both younger than 39 and over 39. For different reasons, young people are not too willing to go work in the industry. It is clear that it is the view from the top. We do not have some very specific data. We looked at the case study of one of the regions. It is Omsk region. In many points, it's a typical average region with more or less developed industry. Approximately 18% of the employed are employed by the industry. Every fifth are in transport, engineering and defense. Every fifth in petroleum industry, plastics production, food industry, and every probably eighth is employed in optics and electronics. All that together will make up about 70% of employees. Our survey consisted of two parts. First, we surveyed, interviewed the top managers and the personnel of the same companies because the technological part differs significantly. We made an emphasis on the survey of professionals, lawyers, economists, and so on. After that, we organized focus groups which allowed us, together with the representatives of the companies, to interpret the results. Somehow, some of the results were controversial, others were quite consistent. What we obtained, if we are talking about what are the important issues for Omsk industry, the main trends in digitalization are the computers in the workplaces of employees. It's not that they lack it, but some new software would not work on the old hardware. Therefore, 80% said that it is quite important. Digitalization of separate of individual business processes for which they have sufficient funding. Despite the fact that they say this is a priority, they cannot find everything. If we compare the answers of the employees and employers, what for digitalization is needed, it's interesting to know that the employers, top management of the company, believe that it's necessary to make decisions quickly because of the lot of rapid changes, but the employers do not perceive these problems as of the same importance. It's important not to lag behind the competitors. The employers believe that it is necessary. Now, barriers to digitalization. Here, too, we have some differences in the answers of employers and employees. The employers say that there is lack of software, but here they understand the problem of input substitution. I mentioned that in Omsk, there is a lot of defense industry, important software cannot be used. Therefore, they have a significant problem. So with the substitute product, there are some products in the market, but not all of them are quite good. Now, also, it's expensive. Expensiveness is a separate position, but nonetheless, here, the availability and affordable software is also an important factor. Another point to which I wanted to draw attention were the answers in time, about time. For employers, it's important to react quickly. The employers do not see a problem in that. Many of them believe that after announcement, some time will pass and it will be safely forgotten. Uh, One more point here. In the lowest line, both employers and employees say that there is a problem within the lack of competence or lack of desire to work with the new systems. In many respects, the opinions coincide. Now, we also had a survey, a self-assessment, what competences they do have, and they wanted to assess them from cannot do it or do it perfectly, what the employees need. There were five competences that we see here. Mostly it coincides with some exceptions. For instance, the employers want to organize, store data. The employees do not believe it is important. Probably it's more important to look not at the absolute numbers, but at the gaps. And the gap in those the top five competences could be split in several groups. First of all, it is an attempt to algorithmize the formulation of the problem. They want to do something but can't formulate clearly for IT specialists. So they need to discuss it endlessly. This is a very acute problem related also to security, and the problem or the ability to extract new knowledge from information. There are competences which, from the point of view of the employees, are very highly developed. Everything which relates to communication with digital environment, small differences in the level of development of competences and data analysis. We also asked the employers about the latest project in which they participated. What were the results of the project? Again, we see the speed of performance, the quality of work, so quality, volume, and speed. The results are pretty interesting because if we look at costs of labor, then it's true that whether productivity improves or not, practically no one answered. In several blogs, we asked whether there would be a cut in personnel. 20% of employers said yes. In the area of accounting and economics, it is possible a certain reduction of labor, only 20%, and only in one area mentioned that. In fact, they were talking about redistribution of functions. Some routine functions could be allocated to machines, and the personnel will be focused on more important tasks. Probably the scope of work growth, but we do not yet know how to measure it. And coming to conclusions, some of conclusions are listed here. I wanted to draw your attention that in many cases the positions of employers and employees look similar, how they see them in the process of digitalization, but there are also certain differences. What can be done about this? Probably the process of communication is not well organized. That's the interaction between specialists and professionals. They do not understand quite clearly what is the aim of digitalization. Hence, the very general answers, competition, and everyone does it. There is no significant motivation. Second problem is the level or the quality of the level of competence. Both groups mentioned that, and when we asked the question about how they acquire digital competences, approximately half of the employers say they are self-trained. The company does not wish to invest a lot in the development of human capital. For instance, itself, one employer said, I'm looking for an economist. If the economist knows Excel, I will train that person everything else because there is no significant interest in studying Excel because this is general human capital. So these points demonstrate again that we are probably not exactly in the situation where we would like to be. We need to do a lot to improve certain basic processes to transit to Industry 5.0. Thank you.